Good evening and welcome to the Fredonia Central School District Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, October 12th, 2021. If everyone would please stand and join me with a pledge to our flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. We have a consent agenda. And I'll read this because we've got a few people here in the audience. Adoption of the consent agenda upon motion and a second and an affirmative vote by members present approves each and every item so designated. However, prior to the adoption of the consent agenda, any board member may remove any item from the consent agenda. This item will then come up for discussion as part of the regular agenda. The purpose of the consent agenda is to expedite routine matters so the board has more time to deal with substance matters. So we have the consent agenda. If anyone would like to pull anything out, we will wait till after we have that on the floor. But if I could have a motion to bring that consent agenda to the floor, please. So, Mr. Hawk, and a second. Second. Ms. Hahn, thank you. Is there anyone who would like anything pulled out of the consent agenda? No? Okay. So it'll be a relatively short business meeting, but we do have presentations. So with that, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. So at this point in time, we hear from the public. The board has reserved this time to hear comments from the audience. Those wishing to address the board are asked to stand, give their name and address, and limit their comments to 5 minutes or less per individual or group. Concerns and comments during this session typically are related to items on the agenda for this meeting. But we're going to, I know that we've got some people here that would like to speak on other matters, and rather than waiting till the end of this and going through all the presentations, we're going to hear items from other things also. Audience members seeking a response should complete a board correspondence sheet. We have those up here, and they're in back too. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. If you would like a response, please fill in the correspondence sheet and return it to our district clerk, Christine Slagle, up front here. Audience members are asked to adhere to social distancing regulations when addressing the Board of Education. We do have a mic. Is there anyone who would like to address the board tonight? Yeah, go ahead. And again, if you give your name and address,
got a
please.
step stool? There we go. Good evening. My name is Laura Lee Ring. This is Jacob Lemke. Last week it was, and my son was bullied online, and it wasn't very nice. We had some issues, as I wrote in my little sheet there, which I love. Thank you for letting us fill those out, because now you understand where we're coming from. He was threatened because of incident at school. He was talking to someone, and other kids didn't like that he was talking to somebody, so they called him some pretty nasty names. Our principal, amen to him, has done an awesome job at handling this whole thing, and it's just wrong that the kids were able to bully kids. It's wrong. It's just totally wrong. Gives him a bad name, gives him a bad feeling. The kid was petrified in a way, but he's like, you know what, I'm going to just go to school. I'm going to deal with this the way I can. and leave it up to God, you know? That's pretty much the way I've taught him. He was in a confirmation mass with the Bishop of Buffalo, right here in Fredonia. Several of the kids that made their confirmations that Sunday night put things on TikTok about my son in a very nasty way, which should not have happened. Those kids, and I'm gonna call them kids because that's exactly what they acted like. If their parents found out what they did, I honestly don't know what they would have done. And maybe if it was on the other side and somebody picked on their child, maybe they'd understand it. I highly doubt that anybody would pick on them because they're well-to-do children. And in the Bible verse this weekend, if any of you are Catholic, it's about going to wealthy and give all your goods to the poor. And the poor are rich. Rich in what? Rich in kindness, are we not? Not just because we don't have money doesn't mean we don't have wealth and love, the faith, and our hope. And this school, I moved my son to this school for a reason. Because I knew the faith of all the people in this school and the board at the time when we moved here was only in fourth grade. God bless, and I'll praise him again, Mr. Ludwig, for doing what he did with my son. Because he wouldn't be the kid he is today. And he still supports my son to this day. We go to the same church. Whoever would have thought it? I didn't know the man was the principal of the school back then when he was in school. Anyways, the bullying needs to stop. The kids with these phones, they get over-exalted with these phones and they do things that they don't actually understand what they're doing. The one, I will not give the kid's name, but I'll give you a for instance in quotations. The kids are saying he's preying on a 13-year-old. He's 17. At the time, he was only 16. The girl now, come to find out, she's actually older. She had some issues, just like we all do, had some problems. Anyhow, the point is, they're kids. Did any of you not date somebody a little younger or a little older than you were when you were in high school and middle school? It's foolishness. Boys must be jealous or something, I don't know what it is. Or even the girls that are doing these nasty sayings. Because maybe they like Jacob and they just don't want to say it. Okay. The bullying's got to stop. And thank goodness to Mr. P here, he called and let me know immediately. And I thank him again. I'll pray for all of you to do the right things in the schools and take care of our kids. He was afraid he was going to have to move. You ain't moving nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. No, you're going to graduate from this school because this, to me, is the best school in this area. Even better than some of the schools in Erie County because I grew up in Erie County. I know what the schools are like there. I moved here because I wanted my children in Chautauqua County for school. And I'm not going to back down to that. And I've been here for many years. So please, do the right thing with these phones. These kids got to stop this stuff. Tell the parents. Do something with the parents. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you coming out tonight and letting us know. And we do support Mr. Paskey and everything that he does. And thank you, Mr. Paskey.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? No?
I would.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Carrie Potter. I live at 9578 Seymour Road, Fredonia. I have two children that attend the school in kindergarten and second grade. Last Friday, October 8th, around 9:30, I received a phone call from the Wheelock principal stating that my son would be quarantined until this Friday, October 15th. So that would put him out of school about five days. This is my son's third quarantine in 4 months imposed by just the Wheelock building. So when deciding where to send my children to school for this school year, I was pleased to read in the letter issued by Fredonia Superintendent that Essentially, on August 27th, he said, "Universal masking is necessary indoors and allows us to avoid mass quarantining both students and adults. With universal masking in place for all indoor UPK through 12 classrooms, students are exposed to an infected person are exempted from quarantine." And also that there be physical distancing of 3 feet in classrooms and other school rooms, which matched the Chautauqua County Health Department's recommendations for schools reopening. 2 weeks into the school year, because he started mid-September, kindergarten had a staggered start, my son is already part of a mass quarantine. It was the entire class, the entire kindergarten class he was a part of. I was kind of taken aback because I felt like I was assured this wouldn't happen again this year from the letter that I read and just the correspondences that I saw on the Fredonia website. Fortunately, he's 5 days into his quarantine and hasn't shown any symptoms, which to me as a parent, I'm like, I want my kid in school. He needs to learn, he needs routine, and he has a terrible time transitioning back from quarantines. He's done this many times. My major concern as a parent of a student that's missed 17 days of imposed quarantine by the school. I was trying to find an attendance policy, and I know the high school said 16 is a cause for retention of a course. So 17 for someone in 4 months, this is the 5-year-old, is educational neglect. The district has not followed, or is not following, I should say, in this instance, of the published policies that as a parent I read that I thought would be implemented this school year. By the health department and by the school district. I was further assured by the reopening plan and the frequently asked questions that it said our hope is that this will not occur as in mass quarantines because of the universal masking. When responding to the question about will classes need to, or entire classes need to quarantine this year. My concern is the lack of consistency of the district COVID policies is denying my son educational opportunities at a critical age. I feel like this issue seems to be pushed off because I get the feeling they're like, well, it's just pre-K, it's just kindergarten, but someday he'll be in 3rd grade and someday he'll be taking Common Core exams. And when my son is not on grade level, that's upsetting to me, and I'm here today to advocate that he needs to be in school and there needs to be consistency or other alternatives to keep our kids in school this school year. And that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Potter. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board tonight? No? Okay. We have a couple board recognition presentations.
Yep, just real quickly, and again, thank you to both of you for attending tonight. We appreciate the feedback, and when we get feedback from outside our buildings or outside of the district, it gives us a chance to reflect and think about our internal processes and how can we adjust and adapt to avoid repeated issues or things that happen over and over again. So we do have your questions. Thank you for filling out the paperwork, and we will absolutely get back to you as soon as possible on both fronts. So,
Thank you for having them sheets, I like them.
Yep, no worries. So next week, technically, is Board of Education Appreciation Week, and although we're a little bit ahead of the curve tonight, just due to the timing of this meeting, we absolutely wanted to thank and recognize and let our Board of Education know that we 100% appreciate everything that you do behind the scenes, making sure that the district runs smoothly, making sure that we have the resources to be successful as students and adults in our effort to teach and learn. So we had some students that I believe are with Mr. Marshall right now, just as a gesture of appreciation, create some thank you cards for you guys, and we thought you could just pass them around as a group after you've had a chance to look at them, and that can go into later this evening as a small token of our thanks and appreciation. I think most people know that the Board of Education in a district like Fredonia is voluntary. And it does not come with any stipend or any payment, and you guys are here out of your concern for our community, concern for our students, and concern for the district in general, and both the students and adults within the district. So again, thank you so much. We hope that you know that your work does not go unrecognized or unappreciated. and we just want to take a couple minutes here to recognize that tonight. I'm thinking at the end of the meeting, as we do our usual round robin, some other people might chime in with a thought or two on that. But from all of us, thanks so much, and well-deserved recognition here this evening.
Great, thank you. I will disagree with you on one thing, and that's, when you say that we don't get paid, you're right, we do not receive monetary, but I will tell you that we get paid in spades in other things. And helping the students and putting the students first is a great benefit that I see, and I know that all of our board members will agree with me on that our students come first, and our board takes a lot of pride in putting them first, and that makes us feel a lot better. So, thank you.
Well said. Thank you.
Okay, so we have minutes from our regular meeting from September 21st. Can I have a motion to bring those to the floor, please?
So moved.
Ms. Gallo, and a second?
Second.
Mr. Marshall. Any corrections or comments on those? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have a contract with an outside agency for with the IIB. Can I have a motion to bring that to the floor, please?
So moved.
Ms. Hahn, and a second?
Second.
Ms. Gallo. Any questions on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have a transportation contract. Can I have a motion to bring that to the floor, please?
So moved.
Mr. Marshall, and a second.
Second.
Mr. Hawk, thank you. Now, this is, I will say that the $575 a day for transportation, when I first heard about this, I was kind of taken back for the high dollar amount, but then I was reminded that bus drivers are in short supply now, and it's one of the things that we're facing in this district and every other district around for contract bids like that. Right, Mr. Forbes?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I also want to thank John for really exhausting all options and creative thinking here. We reached out to a variety of different organizations that we thought might be able to help us with this, and at the end of the day, we didn't have any room to maneuver. For right now, this is where it is. I don't know if any opportunities might present themselves as we move forward, but we're going to keep looking and be open-minded to any other way for this to happen. So, appreciate that, Mr. Forbes.
Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have the appointment of Samantha Hines to a 6.5-hour-a-day, 10-month-a-year position as teacher's aide. Can I have a motion to bring that to the floor, please? Mr. Hawk, and was it Ms. Elliott? Great. Any questions on this? Mr. Ziliaks, I know that this is a teacher's aide position. Where are we in filling these positions of teacher's aides?
Yeah, so not quite to the extent of bus drivers, but we have had difficulty this year filling some teacher aide positions as well. And we certainly appreciate all the teacher aides that currently work for the district. So as of right now, with the approval here tonight, this puts us right at the number of teacher aides that we had approved and were budgeted for throughout the year. However, there is always additional needs that may come up as we move forward with the school year. In fact, right now, we're aware of a student that will need a one-to-one aide soon, if not current, as of in a few days. So that would then be an additional teacher aide that we would discuss as we normally would, agree to move forward, create a position, and then fill that position. So I'm anticipating that will most likely happen, but as of right now, this aid brings us to even with what we believed would be the case for this school year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Next, we have the approval of probationary appointment of Colleen Paradise to a 4-hour-a-day, 10-month-a-year position as food service helper. Can I have a motion to bring that to the floor, please? Ms. Gullo, and was that Ms. Hahn? Great, thank you. Any questions on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have an item that we had tabled at the last meeting, and that was to correct an approval that we had a few meetings prior to that. So we need to pull this off the table, and then we will make a motion for that. So if I could just have a motion to bring that off the table.
So
Ms. Hahn. And a second?
Second.
Mr. Marshall, thank you. Any questions on the procedure there? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So now it is off the table. Could I have a motion for the approval of this correction? Ms. Gullo? And a second? Second. Mr. Hawk. Any questions on that at all? So, Mr. Ziliak, this was just someone was approved and there were additional credits here?
Yeah, so as you might imagine, in a hiring process where we get 20 or so applicants, and then we go through an interview process, there's a variety of paperwork. And we are working right now to revise those systems to make sure it is clean and clear, and an accompanying document travels with the paperwork of any given employee with some checks and balances to make sure that between the principal's office, the business office, and the district office, we are all on the same page and there's no confusion about either the experience of the candidate, the credit hours they have achieved beyond their bachelor's degree, and also whether or not they have a master's or 2 masters. And in this case, there was some confusion, and it was incorrectly done initially. So we felt it was important that we make good on it and make sure that it's correct. And we are doing everything we absolutely can to avoid such situations moving forward.
Okay. But this really, we had approved them with the information that they had provided to us at the time.
Yep.
And then afterwards, it was found out that there was additional things. So it wasn't a mistake on the part of the district so much, but there was just not all the information brought forth.
Correct. I would say a little bit of both.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
like I said, we're adjusting and adapting and making sure that we have a system in place that is clear to everyone.
Great. Thank you. Any questions on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. So, next, we have item 9, our superintendent's report with district updates. Mr. Zulia.
Have my computer here, which is charging. Thank you very much. If you want to follow along with the screen behind me, or if not, you can just kind of listen in if you are a little bit far away. Each year, we have goals that are attached to the district as well as our buildings. Last year was a little bit unusual that in the midst of a pandemic and really trying to sort out everything, this was not as clearly articulated last year as it normally would be. But we are certainly trying to be very clear, concise about our priorities as a district and also how we are moving forward. So I wanted to share some information with everybody tonight regarding both district and building goals and see if there's any questions as a result. So I thought this was also a good opportunity, and I don't mean to belabor the point, but we did recently update our mission, vision, core beliefs, and our goals tie directly into these, so I just wanted to review them real quickly. Again, our mission explains and is a statement about our purpose, why do we exist. Our updated mission statement is a place of learning and exploring where individuals become their greatest selves. And we did take the time to define key terms, learning, exploring, individuals, and greatest selves. So we are clear about what exactly we are talking about as a district and what those terms exactly mean. Our vision, again, is motivational and what we aspire to become as a district. Our updated vision statement, paving innovative pathways to dynamic and global educational experiences. And again, we took the time to define paving, innovative, dynamic, and global as we talk about our vision in the district. Lastly, our core beliefs, or our organization's core values that drive both behavior and decision-making. And I'll very quickly just run through that the core beliefs, without giving the additional information, are about being student-focused, being respectful, showing integrity, being inclusive, celebrating diversity, demonstrating excellence, having open, honest, and timely communication, and also being resilient, not only as individuals, but as a school district. And again, all of these statements are at the foundation of our district. They will be a big part of our work moving forward, and certainly things that will be reoccurring themes throughout our conversations and throughout our presentations and throughout the work that we do. So those transition into then, if that is our mission, vision, and core beliefs, what would our district goals and then our building goals be for this school year? So I just want to take a couple minutes to hit on each of these. And in terms of our district goals, the first two directly relate to that mission, vision, core beliefs. Establishing, promoting, and sustaining focus on our updated mission, vision, and core beliefs. Each building in the district as a whole is thinking about ways that we can do this. You have probably noticed around our buildings we have a variety of signs and other posters that highlight our district, mission, vision, core beliefs. Our teachers in the first 2 weeks of school created an activity or a lesson attached to mission, vision, core beliefs. Our principals in their communication is also during faculty meetings are highlighting all three aspects of the district. And we will continue to incorporate this throughout the school year. Third, engage in a process of strategic planning that will clearly communicate priorities, long-term strategies, and performance targets to help focus our district resources, attention, and effort. In my entry interviews, one of the things that came forward is that You know, a question about how strategic we have been and what are our plans moving forward. And this year we will engage in further work around that concept. Also to develop a deeper understanding of our overall academic programs and assist in establishing instructional next steps to move closer to our vision. Certainly our buildings and our departments do a great job instructionally and academically. But as a board and a district, we want to highlight those things, come to a better understanding of those things, and begin to formulate ways in which we can move closer to our vision from an instructional and academic point of view. Also revisit and reestablish the role of the instructional leaders and curriculum council and begin a process to align pre-K-12 curriculum that utilizes a systematic approach to support all students. Dr. Wright has done a great job, along with our admin team, beginning to bring together our curriculum council and instructional leaders, talk about what has been our purpose in the past, what might that look like moving forward, what are our priorities, what are our strengths, what do we see as challenges or threats to our work, and we're beginning to sort that out and come to an understanding of how we believe as a group, collectively, that we can move forward and eventually get to this idea of curriculum alignment, which was also part of my entry interviews in terms of work that people felt needed to be addressed as we move forward. Also develop a plan to maintain and upgrade our district facilities. We have a facilities committee meeting tomorrow night where we begin to really think about how we can think about our needs as a district, preserve the environment so that it is conducive and effective to teaching and learning. And that committee is at the beginning of that work and then brings ideas forward to the larger Board of Education. Also create fiscally responsible budget that aligns to our updated mission and vision, is respectful of our taxpayers and supports student achievement. Mr. Forbes in the business office do a great job of putting together a budget this year, along with support from the Board of Education and district office and our buildings, and in particular our admin team. We look to continue to that work, but really process our mission vision, along with thinking about our community and what's affordable within our taxpayers as well. Lastly, revisit and reestablish our district philosophy and guidelines for our extracurricular athletic programs. Really thinking about what are we trying to accomplish through our athletic programs, what are the learning opportunities we believe that are there, what is our philosophy when we think about modified and JV and varsity, and really having an opportunity to revisit that work. So we're excited about that as well. So what might this mean to our building? And as you know, we are involved in a district comprehensive improvement plan right now. And there's three pieces from that plan that we are using as the overarching goals for our buildings or schools at this time. One is around providing meaningful engagement for all students. The other is creating an environment in which every child and adult feels safe, respected, and supported, and also strengthening collaborative partnerships with school faculty, staff, families, and community members. Each building is creating opportunities in ways in which they can achieve and move forward and complete these goals in their own way. For example, at Wheelock, one of the things they've done is really created a system for greeting students each morning where they focus on individual student names. There is also opportunity, if you've ever been to Wheelock and you see our drop-off, you see many of our faculty, staff go over to vehicles and interact with families and parents during that time as well. They're also using the second step, social emotional curriculum, to help students self-manage behavior and positively interact with both peers and adults. That's new to us more systematically this year, and we feel like it's a great support for social emotional learning. Wheelock is also screening all students for early literacy skills and social emotional skills, as baseline data, and also allowing parents and guardians to fill out a survey as well from their perspective regarding their sons or daughters, which is then passed on to not only our principal, but also our teachers. Lastly, Wheelock created an outdoor classroom space this year, which really engages students in a non-traditional way and increases the chances for social interaction and hands-on learning. This is within one of the courtyards at Wheelock, and it's a creative and a new way that students are able to experience a learning opportunity there. In terms of our elementary building, they are using iReady and FastBridge academic screening, followed by evidence-based informed tiered intervention. So the students engage in a diagnostic test. It indicates strengths and weaknesses and provides ways in which we can instruct and bolster each for individual students. The elementary school is also looking at social, academic, and emotional behavior risk screening, which is administered to all students and teachers to gather information and identify those who may be in need of social, emotional behavior supports. Also, the PTO partnership between parents and teachers and the community members are organizing events that bring the school community together and move us closer to our vision. The movie night that happened a couple Fridays ago would be a great example of this, and was very well attended. Also, after-school clubs are up and running at the elementary level, which also provide additional learning opportunities. At the middle school, again, to support these goals, they are using a product called Panorama, which surveys students to identify areas of strengths as well as areas of growth related to social, emotional, or learning and development. In tandem with that, iReady, again, does something very similar for academics, math, and literacy skills. At the middle school, every student at least takes that assessment 3 times a year, with other students using it daily to provide interventions and supports. Students are also encouraged to participate in clubs as well at the middle school that are sponsored through student council, and again, this offers enhanced learning experience. Lastly, at the middle school, families are asked to complete a form that is shared with their child teachers that gives information from the parent's point of view about their particular student and how our teachers can best work with them within the classroom environment. Lastly, for our high school, we do engage in positive behavior interventions through our Pride initiative, Great Start, and similar events. The high school is also using Panorama and again surveying students to look at strengths and growth in areas like grit, growth mindset, belonging, connectedness to school. Based on that information, we are able to adjust and adapt and think about how we can connect with students in a more positive way. At the high school, there's also college consortium, military recruiters, school to work, and internships that really have started to focus on those global education experiences that we're looking to offer as part of our vision. Lastly, there's activity fairs, ENL, open house, after school help, homecoming, and other student council activities that encourage and celebrate inclusivity and diversity, which is, again, part of our core beliefs. A few other items just to touch on. We continue to engage in both lockdown and fire drills to make sure that we are prepared for emergency events. The fact that we're having drills should not cause alarm to anybody. We're hoping that they might give people a little bit of peace of mind that we are preparing and practicing. And we thank Mr. Kackelmeyer for his support and help organizing, announcing, and reflecting on how each of those drills went and considering adjusting or adapting. Also, our fall athletic seasons are going extremely well. We've had some big wins lately, girls soccer and football in particular. And it's been great to get out and see all the students and coaches in action. We thank everybody for their hard work and dedication to their programs. Also, we are beginning to take a closer look at testing of our employees who are either not vaccinated or do not want to share whether they are vaccinated or not. This is part of the governor's initiative, along with the New York State Department of Health, to try to keep everyone as safe as possible during the pandemic. We're working with Chautauqua County Department of Health in this effort. This could begin as soon as a week from now, but definitely within the next 2 weeks, I would say absolutely for sure. Lastly, we are short substitutes on a lot of different levels. Mr. Aldrich mentioned bus drivers. We talked about teacher aides, also for teachers themselves, our school nurses, other personnel within the district. So we encourage anybody who might want to sub within the district to apply. And if you happen to know anybody who might be interested, please pass on that information to them as well. In the meantime, we can continue to advertise by social media, and hoping that there are some candidates out there that are willing to join us as substitutes this school year. Having said all of that, thanks for your attention. Number one, any questions or thoughts anybody wanted to share?
I've got a question to the two building principals that are here. Could they speak to the goals and the items that you spoke of there on display this evening?
Sure. I don't know if Darren or Mark, anything you
I
want to
know I'm
add?
kind of putting you on the spot here, but
I didn't hear you, actually. What did you specifically
I
ask?
says, could you speak to the fact that the goals that Mr. Zeliak just spoke of and how things are moving along in the elementary school?
Sure. So the first district goal to increase engagement and things like that, we really, last year we piloted this iWriting program as a tool to address some of the learning loss that we keep hearing about. And this year we're doing a full implementation of iWriting. So this is a program that's designed to meet the kids where they're at and kind of fill any gaps that they might have had because of COVID and things like that. And we're rolling this out building-wide. So every student has this opportunity to engage in this meaningful program that will help bolster their reading skills. So, I mean, what we're seeing is typically in grades 1 and 2, kids are learning to read. And then in grades 3 and 4, they read to learn. But what we're seeing a little bit this year is, you know, in 3rd grade, we're getting some kids that are still having some fundamental skills that they're missing. This program is designed to address those skills that are missing. And the teachers were trained on it today. They're going to be trained again on Friday on it. And I think that this is something that we have a lot of buy-in in the building. And we're monitoring the progress the kids are making through this program, and we're adapting as needed. So, and there's a clear expectation. So each student has to be on this program for a minimum of 40 minutes a week. And that's something that, as the building principal, I'm monitoring. Because if we're gonna go all in on this program, let's carry it out with fidelity. Let's make sure that the teachers are trained and that we give the program its full shot. So we'll continue to monitor the students' progress throughout the year. There's 3 assessments. There's a beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year assessment. And I'm excited for the January middle of the year assessment to see the growth that the kids have made. So that's kind of like the first thing that we're doing to address the first goal, which is providing meaningful engagement and participation for the students. So, and then the second goal would be create an environment where every adult and child feels safe, respected, and loving is we had to first understand what are the kids' perception of the building. So every student took this survey. It's called the Savers. And it asks them questions about themselves and how they feel about coming to school. And then we kind of do like a check for false positives where we have the teachers take a survey about all of the kids as well. And we kind of like cross-check the information. And then I get a report as the principal. And there are some students who are identified as self-reporting. Their teachers are reporting that, hey, maybe they don't feel like there's someone here that cares about them. So then I work with the counseling team, and we meet with these kids individually, and we make sure that every student has at least one person in the building that they feel connected to. So that's kind of the work that we're doing right now, is we're looking at that data, we're getting a list of names, and we're pulling the kids in and making sure that they feel part of the school. Then the third goal, creating partnerships with the school and the community and things like that. And that's where I lean heavily on the flashy things, like our clubs and our after school and our PTO It really is a way to get the community involved. We're engaging this week in the Feed Fredonia Challenge, it's the next 2 weeks. Our Learn and Serve Club is facilitating that, and that's a great way to reach out to the community because the food that we collect stays within our own community. And I think that's important when we do those kind of service learning projects and things like that. So, you know, we're off to a great start. It's been a busy first, you know, couple of weeks of the school year, but we will, you know, under the direction of Dr. Ziliak's, we will stay focused on these goals and continue to work towards these things.
Will you, just one follow-up question, will you be keeping the board apprised as to like the middle of the year assessments?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something it's really easy to run the report. Yeah, that's something we could easily do. It's usually administered around January, middle of January, so probably the February board meeting would be an appropriate time to look at those results.
Very thorough, so I'm going to say that really in all three of those areas, the high school is almost exactly in the same place, but with some slightly different modalities, meaning like in the first case, promoting the meaningful, sorry I don't have my glasses on, engagement for the students. I kind of have to like stand right up in front of it. We started off actually early, before the school year started, and I want to thank the board again for their support of having us do our own summer school for our kids. And we had 80 students come in over the summer and work with our own teachers and Edgenuity and start filling in gaps that they missed over the time that we were off with COVID, and address a lot of those needs before the school year even started, which was fantastic. Now that we're into the school year, we're continuing with our academic supports through academic intervention services. We still have Edgenuity for the rest of the school year, so if there are some things that we've identified certain students that need to maybe go back and relearn some things, they can actually do that online with the support of their teachers and get back up to speed. And it's kind of nice because if there's something in a class where, you know, the kid's doing fine and there's something like, man, you know, maybe they were remote for a certain period of time or quarantined and they didn't feel like they were getting a certain part of something from the previous year's course, they can say, you know what, hey, we got this right here, let's go back, we'll have you work on this, and we can get a plan for you in place to get you back up to speed in that, which is a really helpful piece that we've never had at our school before, this Edgenuity ability to bring in. And I may have mentioned this when we got Edgenuity, we were the only district, I believe, in the county that didn't have something like that. And I was so pleased that we're able to offer this support to our students. So again, thank you for providing that for us. Moving on to number 2 with creating the environment. We use a slightly different program. We use Panorama in the high school, but it gives us the same information back on the kids. We get a list of students that maybe feel not connected to school or maybe having some social emotional difficulties. Maybe it's academic. There are a lot of different areas that it's showing us that kids either are excelling or not excelling. And then it flags certain students where we can say, okay, we need to focus on these students. We have a student support team consisting of me, our school counselors and school psychologists, and school social worker, and we review all of the data for this and then build supports for the kids that are identified. In the third case, obviously, I can't say that we don't have room to grow. I think that we always do. I think that we've had a lot of outreach. We have extremely high participation in all of our events. We have great community interaction through our Interact Club, things we've done like graduation and just the community support and outreach to pull all of these resources together on a regular basis. I think everything that we've been doing so far has been good. Kids are excited to be a part of the school, and I think that's an area of strength for the high school right now. But again, not that we can't get better.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? And a question for the two of you. You know, part of our mission statement is to make our students so that they can become their best selves. And I'm just wondering, as far as the extracurriculars, your what do you, again, I'm hitting you, blind here, cold. And I haven't prepared you, and I'm sorry about that. But your guesstimation as far as participation in extracurricular, and your thoughts as far as how those extracurriculars help our students to become their best selves. Is that a critical thing, do you think?
Definitely. I think that we've expanded to so many different areas. I don't think we've got it perfect, but we have things for just about anybody. I mean, we have sports, we have music, we have the game club, and it's not video games, it's like board games and strategic games, chess, checkers, those, you name it. We have power club for boys and for girls, where they're lifting weights and learning about themselves and have a social emotional piece that goes with that, and how to eat healthy and grow. I mean, there's just so many rich areas. I've left out 50 of them probably.
Sure.
But student council, musical. I mean, it's just there's so much to do, and I think that the teachers just go out of their way to come up with ideas on a regular basis. We have ideas for intramurals every year, new things that we haven't done before. We have yoga this year in the high school, and meditation, two areas that we haven't ever, in my time in the high school, ever seen offered at our school. So I think there's a real connection that teachers are trying to make with kids, and just to make things available. And what I love is that we have teachers who have expertise in a lot of different areas, and so we're not going outside to bring somebody in to do this stuff. We're using our own people who care about our kids and want to give back to the kids and provide these opportunities for them. So yeah, I think it's huge, helping the kids to become their greatest selves, and establishing a relationship with their teachers outside of the classroom,
Yeah.
which I think is critical for our kids to see them as human beings and someone who cares about them on a greater level than just, hey, you got to get the science lab in, or whatever it happens to be. There's so much more to it.
So your participation percentage, and again, I know I'm hitting you cold. Can you give me an estimation of, maybe not participation, but how many kids are not participating?
If I had to guess, I would guess probably 20% of our kids,
Okay.
maybe 15, maybe that's too much, are not. But it's a total random guess. I look
Sure,
at things
sure.
like the musical, and we have like 230 kids, are in the musical,
Yeah.
in some
Yeah.
form or another. And we have 460 kids in the high school, and that's just musical. So there's a lot of participation, and maybe it's lower than 20 or 15%, but I don't want to say that it's like
Yeah.
5, who knows.
Yeah. And you're constantly trying to come up with ways to reach that 15 or 20%, I hope.
Yes. Yes, and even to the level of, we're identifying kids that maybe don't have we don't feel that there's a connection, not just from, Panorama is fine, and it's a nice survey, but honestly, I feel that we get our best data from day-to-day interaction with our teachers and students. So, they bring things to our student support team and say, hey, you know what, Jimmy doesn't seem to appear to have anybody at school that he's connecting with, maybe doesn't feel that there's someone he can trust at the school, what can we do about that? So we set up a Check and Connect study hall for students like that, and those will be coming now that we just reached our 5-week point, and we have a better feeling for where our kids are both academically and a little bit socially. So we will be starting to infuse these Check and Connect study halls, where instead of having a study hall with 25 students in it, a teacher's going to have a study hall with 2 or 3 identified students that need to make that connection. And once they're placed with that teacher and they start to build a rapport, then we start to get some more inroads with the kids. And sometimes it's not a great match. And so if we recognize that right away, we'll make a switch to a different teacher who volunteers. So they volunteer to do that to help the kids. And obviously not everybody does it, but the ones who volunteer, typically are very outgoing and amazing teachers.
Yeah. Mr. Drowling, are you going to say ditto, or?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of great things at the elementary school. We're running more clubs this year than we've ever run. So what that shows me is that they're the ones who run the clubs, so teachers are willing to, and they're excited to offer new things to kids. But I'm also seeing more than ever parents reaching out to me just out of the blue saying, how can I get involved with the school and how can I help?
Really?
Yeah, like way more. I mean, I got an email just now, do you need any help? And it was like, wow, that's awesome. So, that's something that we had shut out with COVID. We didn't welcome parents, but now, you know, we have parents come in and help out with simple things like picture day. So we'll welcome some parents in. We used to have parents come in and help out with different class parties and things like that. And that's something that we can bring back now safely. So I think that the community is really excited to be a part of the school again in more traditional ways. So we have a good problem. We're starting a new one. It's called Get Fit Kids. It's in the morning. We had 25% of our entire school population sign up for this club. So that's tough. So, I mean, that's a good problem to have. So I think we're going to have to run more sessions of it than we initially had anticipated. But yeah, the kids are getting involved in the extra activities and things like that. But it is also important to note this year, I mean, the teacher's ability to just make the ordinary, the day-to-day, is a great place for the kids. That's what they're really doing. I think that the kids are just so happy to be back to school normal. And the day-to-day is an awesome place to be for our kids. So yeah, we've got a lot of clubs, but I think our day-to-day is running really smooth as well. So it's a good place to be.
Yes, great. Thank you very much, both of you. Okay, so we're here at number 10, hear from the public. Is there, we've reserved some time to hear comments from the audience a second time. And this is really for anything, whether it's on the agenda or not, but if anyone would like to address the board that didn't earlier, we're welcome to that. No one? Okay. The next regular Board of Education meeting will be October 26th. That's 2 weeks from tonight at 6 o'clock, right here in the high school library. I will let the board know that I have asked Mr. Ziliaks to consider to put together a proposal for a student member of the board, a non-voting member, so that he can present that to us with a possible plan of how that would look or how they would be selected, what their involvement would be. So we would like to at least look at that. So, okay. Okay. I'll start with Mr. Hawk. Mr. Hawk, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything. It was kind of out of character, but it started over.
What goes around comes around.
I know.
Well, you know, I started
The place and I said, you.
I started with the new kids and they were taken off guard too, so I thought I'd start with the,
So my granddaughter's in first grade, and just the excitement with her back to school. I see her, often because the kids are living in our house while the new house is being worked on, and so it's just a good piece, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. So there's just, as I've said before, a lot of excitement, a lot of thrill, and it's good to have them all back.
we during our board meetings, it gets old, but it can't get old, that the board thanks all of our administration, all of our principals, all of our teachers, all of our teachers' aides, all of our groundskeepers, all of our janitors, all of our cleaners, all of our lunch people, everyone that has just made this year go along so well. And you're right, Mr. Hawk. It's a great place to be. So thank you all. Okay, you're the yeah. What do you think of that? You're the second most second longest board member.
Wow,
what do you think of that? Ms. Gullo, anything to add?
I think they both left, but I just would have thanked both parents for
Yeah.
speaking up, because both of those issues can speak to our new core beliefs with communication, with the mask policy, clear and consistent, and then with the phones, I mean, being respectful and inclusive and all of that. So I just appreciate those messages, because it's something we can talk about, I'm sure, and she brings up a really good point with the phones, and it's probably some guidance that our kids all need. So I was gonna say thank you to them, but then, I just wanted to mention the 26th is the Pops concert, so I don't know if that affects many of us. So I just wanted to throw it out there. Is it at, I don't know.
It's at 7.
It's at 7.
The Pops Conference is at 7, but they're doing music National Honor Society induction prior. I think that starts at 6-ish. It's just a little before the concert.
So you're saying no executive session? Fine with me.
That's interesting. Okay. Okay. Mr. Marshall.
I just want to give a shout out to the girls varsity soccer team continuing their undefeated season, trying for, I believe, win 14 or 15 tomorrow night, so go them.
Go them.
It's been a great season. The girls
Yeah.
are dedicated. It's fun to watch.
Very fun.
Yeah, great. Great. Ms. Hahn?
Well, I attended parent-teacher conferences at the high school, and I have to commend our teachers. They know every student, not only their academics, but their personalities, and no one is phoning it in. So I really appreciate our teachers. Piggybacking on what Courtney said, I wanted to thank generally any community member who addresses the board at a public meeting. It takes a lot of courage to do so. And it's really a service to us. It informs us, giving us a new perspective on what's going on in the schools from the point of view of parents and students, and that is what we are here for. And there's a saying that a parent is only as happy as their least happy child. And to me, it's the same with a school district. One of our core beliefs is to create an environment in which every child feels safe, respected, and supported with a true sense of belonging. And we won't be happy or satisfied or content until every student feels that. So thank you to those community members.
Thank you for your comments, I appreciate that. And I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Wright.
All right. First, thank you to the Board of Education, with our early celebration of appreciation. Definitely, it is, as Dr. Ziliak said, it's not a paid position. It's something you do because you choose to serve. You choose to want to invest in all of us. You want to choose to invest in our children, into the future of the community. And it's a lot of work and a lot of hours that people don't understand or see. So thank you for all that you do to support all of us. In curriculum, a little quick update with that. We're continuing as was presented in part of our goals. The instructional leaders and curriculum council really reviewing that and looking at not only a self-assessment, but where we want to go and how that aligns with our district's mission and vision and core beliefs. We've recently broken into some smaller committees to be able to do some targeted work together, and those were self-selected committees, and that came out of our SWOT assessment, that strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and how can we look at that and see it in the areas that we want to grow in and kind of prioritize those. So that's exciting to see, people really rolling up their sleeves and digging into the work there. Really my role is, supporting the instructional initiatives happening in the buildings, and so it's been exciting to be here long enough now to know more of the people and the initiatives and to have deeper conversations, whether that is building-wise, Part 1 special ed, E&L, things like that, really to kind of dig in more with that. Certainly, you know, it's still a matter of listening and learning and figuring out and honoring history and yet seeing where the growth is. So it's kind of neat to now be here long enough to do that, but still recognizing that it is still listening and learning, and that's important. All the title grants have been submitted, so that was super exciting for me personally. I was like, I met the deadline, yes, you know, having done that, so that was very exciting. So thank you to Mr. Forbes for our work in that together. So he was very patient with me, I have to give him, so thank you for that. HR, as Dr. Ziliak said, we are really looking at that process of reviewing how we do hiring and how things come through, and looking and seeing how we can improve, how we can streamline, how we can be better, and how to work smarter, not harder. So again, it's collaborative. I so appreciate our administrative council meetings on Wednesdays where we can have that transparent communication, we can work together as a team. I feel very fortunate to be part of that. The newest thing from the state is the technology plan. So every 3 years, districts have to submit a technology plan. So working with Doug Prince on that, with all of our administrators, curriculum council is going to be a subcommittee for that also. And what's interesting is that it's not due until the end of June, but the draft is due at the beginning of November. So they've already told us to plan on many kickbacks and many iterations, so they want that first one. So we're going to do our best to see how strong we can be out of the gate, and then we will just adjust as it goes. And with that comes a digital equity survey that we have to do, and that's new also. So working with my regional counterparts, seeing how they're doing it, what ways would be the best streamlined, efficient way to get the results and the percentages that the state requires that you have, and yet also making sure that we're recognizing all of our families in the district and representing Fredonia, so that we can learn and we can do better. So that's what's going on in HR and curriculum.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Paskey.
I want to say thank you to the board. I certainly appreciate each and every one of you and the time that you put in, and honestly, just I think the thought, commitment, and heart that you have for our district, our students, and our community is second to none. It's great to have a strong board that can work well and solve problems and work together, so it's greatly appreciated. Tomorrow is our October faculty meeting, and as you know, I like to celebrate with food. So always in October, I do an apple crisp for the staff, and if any of you are available at 3 o'clock, you'd like to stop by the high school office, feel free to come get some apple crisp. There's regular apple crisp and there's apple blueberry crisp. So if you would like to make yourself available, that is an open invitation tomorrow at 3. We have the National Honor Society induction ceremony coming up on the 18th of October. Parent-teacher conferences, our second round coming up on the 21st, followed by, of course, our half-day. Then the Pops concert is the 26th, which you already mentioned, and the Tri-M National Music Honor Society is going to be having their induction right before that. I do want to point out, this is going back to the community and just the phenomenal hearts of our people, our staff, teachers, staff, community members, police. I mean, a lot of people got involved with this, but this past week we had a parade for one of our students in Mrs. Tomaszewski's room who just got home after being treated for cancer. And so the police set up a little area down Temple Avenue, and we cruised by this young student who was out and waved as everybody went by. People dropped off gifts. It was just amazing to see, and it's just one more show of the support. You know, we've had fires, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's no end to the generosity and support of our school and community. So it's a great positive to end on.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Paskey. Mr. Drowlinger.
Nothing new, but I just wanted to real quickly thank the Fredonia Fire Department. They came, last week was Fire Prevention Week, so they came with 3 trucks and 5 guys, and the kids really loved it, and they volunteered their time to come to our school. So that was a huge thing in the elementary school. So thank them, and then thank the board for your support, and things like that. But that's all I have for today.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Drowlinger. Ms. Farrow.
Sure. So, as the new school year continues to develop, I think we've seen a lot of students with a renewed sense of determination, and some students who aren't managing quite as well. So one thing that I've done is I've begun to meet weekly with our school psychologist, school social worker, and we've pulled in the BOCES behavior specialists that we work with, and we're talking about student needs and a consistent, planful method for managing challenging behaviors in the school setting. So we're capitalizing on the collective expertise of the staff I just mentioned, who have a very explicit training and skills in behavior management. And ultimately, our goal is to be able to be more systematic to address needs and develop supportive protocols for students across the district. So, also, at our secondary level, Unified Sports is getting in gear for their upcoming seasons. There's a polar plunge fundraiser in the offing that will benefit Special Olympics of New York, and there'll be more information to follow on that. So we're also excited that our neighbors in Dunkirk have recently joined the Unified Sports League, as you may have seen on the cover of the Observer just a week ago. And our students were pictured on the cover. It was pretty nice. Some of our classes have kept up with their traditional fall field trip to Harvest View greenhouses. Our high school special education classroom recently joined some high school art students and went to the Beyond Van Gogh, immersive art experience in Buffalo, and had a great time. On Thursday, September 30th, several high school students, teachers, support staff, and I were able to meet with Dr. Kate Flanagan-Priori. She's a child psychologist from Kaleida Health. And we learned about the cancer treatment of one of our students that Mr. Paskey just mentioned. So I wanted to thank Dr. Kate for all the great information and the very thoughtful presentation style. And also our school social worker, Kat Beyer, who was the person that really arranged that presentation. So it was really meaningful. And on a related note, Mr. Paskey already mentioned it, the community and some families and local law enforcement really pulled together to organize a wonderful 16th birthday party parade for our student, Jessica Sinclair, who's not able to attend school right now. So it really was a nice, meaningful event there, too. So, we've been busy in a lot of different places and at all levels that I've been in classrooms and talked with teachers. I see the building of community going on, and it's a really great thing. And in the spirit of school board recognition, none of the accomplishments, events, or ideas I just touched on are possible at all without your support. So, sincere thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Forbes.
So we have about 2.5 weeks left in school tax collection, and of course, as we mentioned already, the lockbox process has been new for us this year. A few growing pains learning how to work through the system. Had a little bit of a momentary nervousness when I'm looking at the percentages every day, and typically around the end of the penalty-free period, we're around 65%, or like at 40. A little nervous about that, but apparently the lockbox with everything coming in from all of this year at the same time, it was a little slower than I was used to. But we're good now. Got about 70% of collection in, which is typical. We're in the very final stages of wrapping up the audit, so within the next couple of weeks, we'll be looking to schedule an audit committee meeting. So then the board can be presented with the audit, full board can present the audit after that. So that's what we got going.
Good. So when you say 70%, is that dollar amount or the number of returns?
70% of the total dollars.
Total dollars, okay, great.
Which very typically, and I probably mentioned this when I give a report in November, but typically we're close every year, same.
That's interesting.
So.
Yeah. Thank you. Ms. Slagle.
I want to thank the board for Board Recognition Week as well. Dr. Wright said almost exactly what I was going to say, but the work that you do is really like an iceberg, and I'm able to see the full amount of work that you all do, and it's not just sitting at this table, and I want to make sure that the community is aware of that. So thank you for all the hours and the time and the thoughtful way that you look at every issue, and we appreciate all of that every day. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so if that's it, then we anticipate the need to enter into an executive session to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent and personnel matters. That is a annual thing that we do. There's no issue here, so I didn't want anybody to think that we're taking them out behind the woodshed, because we're not. But that's something that we do every year. So if I can have a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved.
Ms. Hahn, and a second,
Second.
Ms. Gullo. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are in executive session at 7:17. Thank you, everyone.